Dr. Tarpley, good to have you here with us, sir.
Thank you, Alex.
So much is happening. We've only got less than an hour with you. You've been deluged by the storm and falling trees. And any time now, arborists may come to the door to cut down the fallen trees, so we're going to move quickly. You've got the floor. Wikileaks tied into Iran, tied into the unfolding depression, and calls to censor the Internet. Webster Tarpley.
Well, I would start by saying that Wikileaks and the person of this strange Julian Assange fulfills the prima facie case for a limited hangout operation by the intelligence agencies themselves in a broad sense. When you include things like Project Democracy on the U.S. side, when you look at the Soros group of foundations and so forth, and look at them as a part of the intelligence community, that seems to be what we have. And the goal, of course, all of the U.S. coverage in particular, focuses the attack on Pakistan. That the big news here is not war crimes by Bush or Cheney or Obama or Gates or any of these people, but it's rather the perfidy and the treachery of Pakistan. So we're essentially got a case where they're saying the Afghanistan war is not going well. Let's dump that country into chaos. Let's focus on Iran and Pakistan above all.
This comes out 1 week, to interrupt, 1 week after they admit, okay, advisors are in Pakistan, U.S. troops are there, Blackwater is there, something they've been denying for 2 years. As the CIA drone attacks intensify, remember a year and a half ago in Mumbai, they blamed General Hamid Gul. He called me and said, I'd like to come on and set the record straight. He says he doesn't want to come on at this time. He didn't give us the reasons. But the point is, he said Western intelligence ran this attack, and then it came out 2 months ago in the Chicago Tribune that the head of the Mumbai attack is a CIA agent from the United States, and the head of India's intelligence said the same thing. So they're always trying to blame Pakistan.
Right, Pakistan is the target. Let's focus for a minute on WikiLeaks and this Assange. Remember Cass Sunstein, the totalitarian liberal regulations czar in the Obama White House, and he came out with this article some months back where he said what we need to do is to have the cognitive disruption of the 9/11 truth movement. In other words, we've got to put out our own disinformation and try to disrupt and interfere with the process.
Yeah, he said that. He said, we'll pose as patriots online to get credibility to attack other patriots. And so that's why you see the COINTELPRO against me, claiming I'm bad, because they know they have no credibility from the government view. They've got to pose as activists while simultaneously pushing to censor the Internet.
Right. And, of course, it's not limited to people coming on with a patriotic or right-of-center profile at all. It includes ultra-left.
Full spectrum.
That indeed is Soros's specialty. So I think what we have here is a rather sophisticated thing. They don't come on saying, we're neocons and we don't like 9/11 truth. They come on saying, we're the extremely radical, hunted group of rebels and anti-authoritarians, and we're telling you that Pakistan is the devil, which is just exactly what the mainstream media is.
And Assange comes out and attacks 9/11 truth.
Yes, exactly. And that's this thing in Belfast where he says he's annoyed by 9/11 truth. Let's just look at this. The big lies, of course, of the past 10 years, the lie of the 21st century is, of course, terrorism itself, Al-Qaeda bin Laden. The papers that Assange has released include all kinds of references to Osama bin Laden, how he's in Quetta. He's taking part in the Quetta Shura, this council of alleged terrorist chiefs, which the mainline, ABC News and NBC News.
We've got to go into Pakistan and get him.
Precisely. So this, and then the attack on 9/11 truth, I think, is the most significant. What he's really saying is the conspiracies that are approved are my conspiracies, says Assange, right? If you've got a conspiracy approved by Assange, that's fine, but some other conspiracy is not in the mainstream of conspiracies. So let's just look at the background. Who is this guy? One of the most obvious things is who pays him? Who pays for this lifestyle that he has? He is a nomad, as we're told, right? He's somebody who jets around the world. He's kind of a jet-set nomad, living out of a backpack, showing up in different parts.
He's got a spy profile.
Well, yes, but of a special kind. I would call him a picaresque agent. I'm referring back to the picaresque novel, like, Tom Jones, by Fielding, where people are always moving around, right? They're always traveling through a landscape, and they never stop, and that seems to be Assange. Now, what's his background? His parents in Australia ran a traveling theater company, so that he seems to have attended about 37 different schools during the time that he was a child. So he's been born into this lifestyle of moving around. But the really sinister thing is that Assange's mother and half-brother, along with Assange, were on the run. According to Wikipedia, they were fleeing from the father of the half-brother, in other words, the second husband of the mother, who was trying to get them and take them back to a cult, which was the Anne Hamilton Byrne cult, which is essentially a group of people near Melbourne, Australia, who were using LSD as a treatment for children. And what they called therapy was to give a child LSD or psychopharmaca and then lock the child in a dark room.
So this is the classic cover for an intelligence agency mind control program.
Yes, but the thing that it turns out, and that was the end product of such a cult, are a group of severely impaired specimens. I think one of them might well be Assange. I don't know.
So you're saying he may be a mega patsy?
He may be somebody who's got severe problems that make him suggestible and make him manipulable by people. What he seems to have gotten out of this is a tremendous anti-authoritarian hatred for governments, for corporations, really for any institution. His attack seems to be against any and all institutions. Notice, he is not anti-war. He does not say that the U.S. should get out of Afghanistan and stop interfering in Pakistan. He just says, whatever you want to do, be transparent, right? Make it clear what you're doing, be humane, and try to reform it. And really, that's all he has to say. There's no theoretical basis for this. He doesn't talk about imperialism. He doesn't talk about Anglo-American banking. He doesn't talk about a new world order. He doesn't talk about any concept that might allow somebody to make sense of this, from whatever point of view. In other words, he just doesn't go there. There's no element of that. So I think this is a very, very suspicious and strange individual. Now, if we look at the institution, what is WikiLeaks? They have a board, and you can look on the internet, right? Wayne Madsen and other people have done useful work on this. If you look at the board seems to be packed with people from this sort of Soros left wing of the Anglo-American intelligence world.
And Cass Sunstein has praised it.
Yes, well, that's very interesting. It seems, again, I think this is more or less his project. This is how they would do it. It wouldn't come on the scene, in the official CIA. It can't. So we have this guy, Ben Laurie, who's a former security boss of Google. And, of course, as many have pointed out, Google was essentially a project of it's a proprietary investment company run by the CIA and
In-Q-Tel, and that's now on record. That they've got their campuses now, their research campuses at NASA. This is the public face of the NSA with the public rollout and adoption of full NSA control.
Right, and we know now that we had it on the front page of the Washington Post here, that Google and the National Security Agency are in a partnership. They are in a lockstep. They've practically merged. So one of the people on the board comes from that. And otherwise, you have a large group of these U.S.-backed dissidents coming from China. You have Wang Dan, who has gotten the Project Democracy award, right, from essentially from the U.S. government. You've got this guy, Xiao Chan.
So they're trying to get their credibility right now to start pumping out info, against corporations they want to bring down, against other governments. If this is an operation, and as you said, Assange may be a great guy and is being manipulated. They've released the Army manual about how to stage false flag terror. That's great work. They released the helicopter gun footage that I think is important work. But that's how an intelligence op would work. They would give you good info up front to get your confidence. I don't think we can say 100% that these are bad guys, but certainly the way that the New York Times, The Guardian, and Der Spiegel have spun the material all against Pakistan, and how they're propping up the myth, and this isn't really top secret, it's just secret material, battlefield communiques, which are famous for being used, fake body counts, you name it, to put out Pentagon propaganda.
We can also see that the intimate cooperation with the New York Times, with the Guardian of London, and with Der Spiegel of Germany, right? These are three arch-establishmentarian, very vaguely center-left.
Well, that's admitted. I mean, it turns out the New York Times, quote, crawled to Obama for instructions on WikiLeaks weeks before. So Assange kept saying it's coming out, it's coming out. It turns out that's why all the newspapers were going to the government saying, what do we do with this? And the government said, do it.
Right, but
I mean, that's 100% proof right there that, I mean, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Alex, you and I know that if you're coming out with some revelation that the government doesn't want, say something about 9/11 truth, you don't get the New York Times, the Guardian, and Der Spiegel cooperating with you. Der Spiegel, in particular, had a whole cover story on conspiracy fanatics who turn the world upside down. 9/11 truth are lunatics, anti-Semites, and all the rest of this crazy stuff. Couple of other things about it. Assange claims to be a